Hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below for Thursday, the 5th day of January 2022. Well, two things. The most important is my grandson that was born on January 13th of last year is now walking. And we have video. And it is hands down the most adorable thing. And of course, it is for any child that starts walking. But it's just so very cool to see it. He's so excited. He's so happy. He laughs when he walks. And he kind of does it, a lot of it at a run. He can stand up and stand still and not fall. So, yay. Unfortunately, we got snow again. We got about, I don't know, between 2 and 3 inches. It's supposed to melt, though, I think. It's going to be about 49 today, so I would expect to see a lot of that start melting, if not all the way. The next few days is going to be, I think we got a couple days in the 50s, and which is weird in January here, but I don't think we'll have it much longer, so at least not as long as we did the first go around, so... But we won't be able to go see him for that, and so I sent presents, and so hopefully we'll get lots of pictures. I'm sure we will, and we'll get to see him probably, I don't know, February or March. Maybe we can go down there, but we'll have to just see how the roads are over the mountains. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. And I've gone ahead and I've done some already preliminary shuffling on the cards. I'll do a little bit more when we're ready. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's esoteric influences, the forecast for today. Basically, some of the influences here involve the numerology of 5 being the 5th day of January. I don't take the entire day like you would for the life path. I don't do that for this. I just take the numerology for the day itself. When I'm coming up with this stuff. Fehu from the Elder Futhark is one of the runes. Albus, a geomancy rune, is the geomancy rune. 7th ray energy is strongest today. And basically, on a personality level, that's basically organization, things like that. But from the standpoint of a soul-driven experience, it's essentially soul infusing with form. And having soul guide the ship, basically. So it's taking all of the energies of, all the rays together and essentially infusing them into form and into your higher awareness. And then you live there versus the whole ego, which is kind of how the basic structure of how I do these readings. Are we talking spirit or are we talking ego here? Because really, I think that's the dichotomy. Maiden moon is in effect. We have the mother is tomorrow. It goes full at 3:07 p.m., at least in my neck of the woods. On that specific, is it daylight time? I get the two confused. I don't know. Pacific time. My mother passed in 96. I relied on her for these things. Also to tell me when to set my clocks back. And now I'm the responsible person for that. And thank goodness it's all done by, I don't have to worry about it, except on my stove and in my car. I have to do it there. And the clock in the bathroom. That's the only ones I have to change. The rest do it automatically. But anyway, it's 16 degrees Cancer tomorrow is when it's full. And then Friday will be the crone moon. So just be aware of all of that. Get out tomorrow if you can. I don't know if we'll be able to. I don't know if we'll be able to see her. Maybe, do whatever ritual you want to bring your intentions that you set on the new moon to fruition, or at least check in on them, see how things are going. But the full moon, it brings clarity. And, raise your arms in supplication and draw down the moon's blessings. So, or whoever's living inside of it. I don't know. If you think like I do, that it was towed here. It's not, why wouldn't it spin? Otherwise all other, anyway, well, that's another video, I think. So anyhow, I hate this when it gets paper locked. Anyway, Let's go ahead and draw a rune. Oh, did I? No, I did. I didn't. I didn't do the esoteric influences. I got started on the moon stuff. Anyway, a change in circumstances may occur today, and you may need to rethink a transaction. Remember, Mercury's in retrograde still, so you might have to rethink a transaction you're considering. Be certain that you understand its overall impact and proceed with the clarity you might have been lacking while remembering to maintain your values and principles. Tonight's maiden moon may give you the space to meditate on what you really want. You can look at the triplicity of the full moon and on the maiden, you can kind of treat that really as the new moon, the kinds of things you might do, so meditations and all of that. But the same on the crone moon, the day after the full moon, because there's a 3-day period there, and that involves the maiden, mother, and crone, right? Well, you can meditate on the future tonight. You can, meditate on the past if you want, or try to get things, to get a better understanding under the crone moon. So things you can do, things you can do around the full moon. Anybody can do that as well. Well, we have Hagalas today. Can't hardly see that. Turn it this way, maybe you can see it better. There you go. Hagalas, it's the 9th rune of the Elder Futhark, I believe. It's 9, 10, 11 are the Norn runes. So 10 would be Nothes and 11 would be Isa. But Hagalas is the rune of the past, and it's considered transformation within a fixed framework, or it's basically the witch rune, and so it would be what you would do when you're casting intention. You're not wanting to destroy everything that you're trying to influence. You're just trying to influence certain things, maybe perception or what have you, about a certain thing. You leave the, it's like one of the keywords for it is hail. And so, you get the hail that comes down, and then, it's all ice and everything, little balls of ice or chunks of ice or whatever you get. And then it melts. So it's transformed some things, maybe because maybe it caused damage, but the basic structure is still left standing. We don't get huge hail here, but we did one year in the 90s, like 95 or 96, and we had hail this big. And it broke windows, not very many. It dented the cars, had to have those repaired, and it dents everything, right? But everything is still left standing, right? It doesn't completely annihilate things. Although I suppose if you got the big baseball size, then yeah, it probably could. But that's the kind of idea behind shaping things. The Norns shape things. They shape perception. They shaped Odin's awareness by giving him the runes. As he hung upside down from the world trees, sacrificing himself to himself, which means he sacrificed an eye to gain enlightenment. And the Norns helped provide that, according to the lore. Well, so what kind of transformation are we going to do today that, usually I interpret that to be, well, maybe it's you leave your values and principles still there. Or your traditions are still there. You're just shaping some things. But if you've gotten off track and your values and principles have become the issue, then I could see where you might want to tweak those a bit with this type of an energy. But let's see what the Geomancy rune is going to come out to be. Single dot for fire, single for air, single for water, and 2 for earth. Now that's going to be Cauda Draconis. I think we had that last time, didn't we? Because it's sitting on top. I think we had that on Monday. Cauda Draconis represents the energy of the south node of the moon, and so you're looking at well, evil, the harbinger of disaster, which technically is karma, which I don't believe karma to be that myself, but that's what the geomancers of old, how they interpret all this. But basically you're talking about something coming to an end. And so again, if it's about some transformation or big change or whatever, something is catalyzing that. So something must be coming to an end today where you're ready to do something else with that, to catalyze something else into happening, to manifest something else, to shape things in a way perhaps that doesn't, destroy everything in your path, but yet, you're going to change things pretty significantly within that structure. So let's see. Let's shovel a little bit more. Here are the cards, and see what it has to say. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. And I hope you'll click subscribe and come back. And because basically what I do here with the runes is they're sort of the significator of the reading. So it's the overall focus. And then from there, the cards sort of act as the details of what maybe some of that could be, or what might be involved in how you consider things from that perspective. So I'm not going to necessarily predict things. If something looks like it's work related, though, I'll probably say that. But otherwise, I just try to do this in terms of energetic influences that you can then utilize in whatever circumstance you find yourself in today. So let's take a look. Well, we have the Emperor, we have the Three of Cups, and we have the Nine of Pentacles. And so with Cups and Pentacles, you're talking water and earth. And so you're talking about, and I will tell you, just let me bring this up here again. I had this up before. Today, let's see, for the 5th, you're looking at earth and water are the strongest energies for today. So now that's going to align then with this reading. And also the polarity is feminine. And let's see, we also, and the moon's already in Cancer. It traveled into Cancer at 6:15 this morning. Sun's in Capricorn, Jupiter's in Aries. Cardinal is the strongest sign mode. So Capricorn is that, I guess. And so let me move this out of the way here. But you're seeing a little bit of alignment energetically anyway with the astrological stuff going on today, and the elemental stuff that's going on today. But the elemental stuff is gleaned from the signs and what element they follow, each one follows. And so strongest with earth and water, and you have that here in the reading. But then you have, since we have Jupiter in Aries, we also have the Emperor. Now the Emperor is, as I said on Monday, because we had the Empress, I believe it was Monday, that he is card 4, she is card 3. The fact that she comes before him tells me that he is more her consort than her necessarily equal. I believe the Empress represents the goddess or the great mother that gives birth to creation. And so that's the idea of her. It's about the womb. It's about abundance. It's about fertility, creation, love, beauty, abundance, and all of that. And then you have this guy that comes in who's very strong. He represents the father aspect. And he, as opposed to the Empress representing the mother aspect, he sits on, he's clearly still in his battle attire. He's got a red robe over it, but he's still in battle attire. He's wearing his crown, and possibly the sun is in this middle section of his crown right there. You can see the circle, probably representing the sun. He holds a scepter in his right hand, his projective hand, the masculine side of self, and he holds an orb of some kind in his left receptive hand. You see the ram's heads for Aries. So right there, so he's very, very expansive. He's pragmatic. It's about structure, masculine energy, stability, authority. Let's see, ambition. He's disciplined. He's reasonable about things. Unless he's ill-dignified, and these things can kind of run amok at that point. You sort of get the opposite when if you see a reversal. It's the opposite basically. So maybe someone who doesn't manage authority well if it were upside down. But here, what are we trying to transform here? Are we going to transform it through our authority, or are we transforming how we project authority, maybe? How are we transforming anything about that? The keywords that I mentioned: stability, pragmatism. Are we trying to use our authority today to have an impact on that, and transform it, because maybe something's been going on that is now we need to bring to an end? So it seems like it's not that it's coming to an end and then we're going to transform. It seems like we are going to transform it to its end so we can then move on, maybe. That could be what this could be about. So think about it that way as well. See if that resonates. It brings us to the Three of Cups. Here you have three women dancing in a circle. You see the abundance around them. Harvest is in, or they're having a party of some kind. They're having a celebration. They're holding their chalices or their cups high. Three is about communication. It's about creativity. And again, with Mercury being in retrograde, we kind of have to be a little watchful and mindful there. But we have the other thing about the three is the triplicity. And given that we're in the full moon triplicity now with the maiden being today, you're looking at you can also look at this as mind, body, spirit balance. And so when you're talking about that, that's definitely involving the Emperor and transforming how we perhaps express authority in our lives. And are we going to now either this is signaling that something has ended, giving us that ability to do that, or we're using that ability of our authority to, in fact, bring things together in a much more balanced fashion. Three is also about balance. I think I also said creativity. But basically, they're in celebration of something that they're in alignment and in harmony with, right? So once you are able to deal with your own authority and something comes to an end, you can then celebrate, basically. Celebrate what you did in that integrated fashion, maybe with someone else, which then gives you some peace and some material security, perhaps. Here you have a woman of means, and I love the robe she's wearing. She's holding her falcon on her gloved hand right here. You see the true trees here indicating some balance. You see all this abundance. The grapes around her show abundance. I would have grapes like those too if the family of raccoons wouldn't climb on top of the dome and eat them. You see grapes all over the ground, right? And it's like, all right, that's not birds. And my husband caught them up there. It wasn't this year or this last year, it was year before. Mama and her babies were up there on top of there, and he could see their little eyes. He was coming back from irrigating. It was about 9:30 at night, so it was dark. And he's walking by, so he has his headlight, right? So he shines it up there, and sure enough, that's what was up there. And there was a bunch of them. So it was Mama and her babies, and they were eating all my grapes, right? So, she has the abundance I would like to have. I didn't get very many grapes last summer either, all because of them. So, but on the other hand, life goes on, and they got some food, and that's cool too. So. But here you have 9. 9 is about endings. It's about generosity. It's about spirituality. But again, if something has come to an end, if you've been able to manifest that ending, if something was not going the way you wanted it to go, and you were able to use your authority maybe to find a solution that then brings happiness and fellowship and joy and celebration with the 3, then you can move on from there you move on to some material security, perhaps, and a little more peace of mind. So something about this that resonates for me here today is that you're either going to use your authority to stop something from happening, And there's been some financial stuff in the esoteric forecast, both this week and also I think for next week, because I just did next week's. And there seems to be a little bit of that going on, and especially today, about a change in circumstances could occur, and you may need to rethink a transaction you're considering. And it seems to me that you're going to use your authority to do that. Understanding the overall impact and proceeding with the clarity you might have been lacking, while remembering to maintain your values and principles. There may have been something with Venus tomorrow, maybe that's where it is, where you may be having an issue with a partner where there's some financial stuff going on. It could either be something partnership related, but see, that could be the same thing. Venus is also about finances, and so maybe there's something going on where you've got to get it together with your partner about how you're going to spend your money. I think that was Jupiter in the second house. Yeah, so second house is about personal resources and how you spend them, and so it's very possible that this could be finance related, where you've got to do something so that you maintain your material security. And once you assert yourself, once you take that, you're the authority in the room, you say, well, now wait a minute, if we do this could happen or that could happen, and we don't want to do that. Once you assert your authority in a way, it could be you could use that authority then to transform the situation with Agalas to where you have a little more security, and you can celebrate that whole integration with whoever you're dealing with, whether it's your spouse or the whole family. Maybe the kids all want what they want, and they're bothering you all the time. It's like, oh dad, oh mom, I want, and maybe they don't understand about the financial issues that the family has, the bills that they have. I know one woman who talked to her stepdaughter, who was wanting this and that, and they only had so much money to go around. And so she made her do the bills one month. She sat her down and said, okay, this is the money we have. This is the money we brought in this month working. Here are the bills. So she made her do them, not actually do them, but do them, and to where she could see, this is how much we have left. This is how much we have left, and this has got to go for food. This has got to go for gas, for the cars to get to and from work. And when her daughter, stepdaughter, but daughter, saw it, she went, oh. Because I guess she wanted an expensive, what did she say? I think she told me she wanted an expensive pair of jeans. And sure, it'd be fun to have one, but there's 2 other kids in the family, and you got to put food on the table and all of that. And when you do that, this is how much they would spend on food every week. There's not a lot left for these other things. And then hopefully you can put a little bit of money away, but maybe you can't, depending on what your bills are. So it was a big learning experience for the daughter, to the older daughter, to understand and go through it. And it was very cool what mom did, right? And it really showed her the cause and effect of just spending a little bit too much here. Maybe we'd like to go out to eat, go get, a roast chicken at the grocery store or something to bring home, or maybe we want to go and get hamburgers somewhere or something. We can't always do that. And this is why, and so again, if it's something like that, where you're having to be the authority and you're having to say, look, this is what we need to do. We need to put an end to this waste. We need to put an end to spending our money frivolously so that we can, give ourselves a little more financial security, material security in our lives. So you have a little more peace, a little more surety, and using your authority to transform that, or maybe you find the authority. Maybe you're not accustomed to asserting authority, and somehow the situation itself, you're the one that stands up and says, okay, enough already. We can't do this, and we need to do things differently. There's your transformation. There's your Hagalas. So again, depending on your circumstances, you can apply this to a number of different things. But there's this sense of ending. And if it's karma, what lessons are you learning if that's involved? And it likely should be, so that once you've asserted this concept, this idea, and you've said, I think this is the better solution, people say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, what are you going to then take that moment and then apply it into the future? There's your application of karma, if you will, one way of looking at karma. Karma is just past experience, whether it's past life or in the past. Are you learning from things? Are you having a difficulty with that? Do you learn from experience, or does experience have to beat you up the whole time you're alive? Do you not learn those lessons very well? And so that's another the nodes of the moon govern that, both the north and the south. They govern that whole concept. Are you somebody that learns from experience, or are you someone who just makes the same mistakes again and again, and you can't hook it together, you can't tie it together in some kind of integrated fashion, and here this suggests that happened, that some integration happened, and some positive, and there was a positive result from it, a little more harmony. But it took having someone in authority, potentially you, and again, this doesn't have to indicate the man, it can just indicate the qualities of this man. And so it can be a woman as well, if this isn't a reading for a man, in other words. But you take that authority that you have, or you decide to assert, and transform the experience so that you can find integration with others, and a shared understanding with others, that makes you successful, that makes you happy, that brings joy, right? And then you can have the abundance that you're looking for, and the material security that you're looking for. So something to think about anyway. But again, it can be applied to a lot of different situations. The timing of it can change a little bit as well. Again, something could come to an end, and you now have to assert yourself and transform something with the emperor, the energy of the emperor. Or you can also read it the other way, where your willingness to do that brings something that is not a good thing necessarily to an end, and it could involve finances. So anyway, very cool. So I guess that's it for Thursday. Again, full moon tomorrow, crone moon on Saturday. Yay. And then next week, I think, is when we have Friday the 13th. That's going to be fun. I was born on the 13th, but it was a Sunday in October. And so I don't have a Friday the 13th birthday, although sometimes my birthday falls on Friday the 13th. But I love Friday the 13th. Lots of interesting things in history happened on Friday the 13th. I think having to do with the Templars, the Knights Templar. I don't know if it was on a Friday the 13th in 1307. Was it October 13th in 1307? Is that when either the edict went down to have them arrested, or that's when they were carrying out the punishment? I don't know now. I can't remember. But look it up. See what happens on Friday the 13th. It's kind of interesting. But that's next week. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and have a good weekend. And hopefully, if you've got people down in the Bay Area, keep them in your thoughts right now. There's a mess down there. We've got that bomb cyclone thing coming through. Probably that's why we got snow. I don't know. But we're not certainly having this kind of weather that they're having down there. So if you've got people again that are there, if you live there, you've got friends and family that are there, keep them in your thoughts, and hopefully they'll be able to get through this without too much. But if the flooding, I saw a video of flooding earlier this morning. I think it was from that area, so that doesn't look good. So anyway, So I guess that's it. Click subscribe if you want to. If you want to click on show more, you can find some links to where I am. You can find a link to the blog. It's called Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. It's not I am, but I am steppingaside.com. There's a link to it below the video under show more. Click on that. You'll see that. Just scroll down a bit, and that's where the links are of where I am. I guess, I know the other, I don't think I mentioned this. I did a rune divination for 2023. It was kind of interesting. So if you want to read that, that's on the blog as well. That just went up yesterday. So check that out. And if you like, that'd be cool. And I guess that's it. So be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.